Nobody was watching the ball girl. That's the thing nobody talks about. 15,000 people packed into Court Suzanne Lenglen that afternoon, cameras tracking every serve, every footfall, every bead of sweat on Alex Eala's chin, and nobody was watching the small girl with the pigtails standing at the edge of the court, clutching something in her hand. Something she had been carrying for 3 days. Something that, within 48 hours, would be seen by 40 million people around the world and reduce a Grand Slam contender to tears in front of an entire stadium that suddenly forgot how to breathe. This is not a story about tennis. Not really. It's a story about what sport is actually for, and one 7-year-old girl who understood it better than anyone in that stadium, better than the analysts, better than the commentators, maybe even better than the players themselves. But to understand why that moment hit the world the way it did, you need to understand where Alex Eala was standing, not just on the court, but in her life, when that folded piece of paper landed in her palm. It was May 26, 2026. Paris. The French Open. The air over Roland Garros that afternoon carried the particular electric charge of a match that could go either way. Eala had already taken the first set 6-4 against 12th seed Maria Sakkari. She was hunting a second set that would send her into the third round for the first time in her career. The Philippine flags were everywhere, every section, every row, waving in that synchronized rhythm that makes it look like the stadium itself is breathing. The chants of Laban Alex had been rolling for over an hour, loud enough that you could feel them in your chest from across the court. Eala walked to her changeover chair. Sweat dripping. Chest heaving. The score was locked at 4-4 in the second set, and every point from here felt like it carried the weight of 110 million people. She reached for her towel. And that's when she saw her. The ball girl was tiny. No more than 7 years old, with pigtails and a uniform that was at least one size too large for her small frame. Her name was Amélie Fontaine, daughter of Pierre Fontaine, a grounds crew worker who had spent 11 years maintaining the clay courts of Roland Garros. 11 years of early mornings and late nights, brushing the red dust, rolling the lines, preparing the stage for other people's greatness. His daughter had volunteered to be a ball girl for the first time. This was her first match. Her first assignment. Her first chance to be close, really close, to the players she had only ever watched through a television screen. She was not holding a towel. She was holding a folded piece of paper. Eala looked at the paper. Then at the girl. What's this? Her voice was gentle, even through the exhaustion. The girl's lip trembled. I made it for you, she said. I've been carrying it for 3 days. I wanted to give it to you after the match, but I couldn't wait. What happened next, no one in that stadium was ready for. Eala unfolded the paper. It was crayon on lined notebook paper, the kind every child has in their backpack, the edges soft from being folded and refolded, handled and rehandled over days. The drawing was simple in the way that only children's drawings can be: a tennis court in red clay, white lines, and 2 stick figures. One stood on the far side of the court with a racket and a crown on her head. The word Alex hovered above her in wobbly letters. On the other side stood a smaller figure with pigtails, holding a flag. And above both of them, floating across the sky of that little drawing like something from a dream, were hearts. Dozens of them. Red, yellow, blue, pink. Floating like balloons over a scene that a 7-year-old had decided was the most important thing in the world. At the bottom of the page, in careful, deliberate handwriting, the kind of handwriting that takes a long time because every letter matters, were words that would shortly bring an entire stadium to silence. To Alex, you are my hero. I want to be like you when I grow up. I practice every day in my garden. My papa says if I work hard, maybe one day I can be a ball girl. Today is my first day. I am scared, but you are not scared. You fight. You never give up. I want to be brave like you. Love, Amélie. The crowd, which had been roaring for over an hour, went silent. Not the polite silence of a crowd waiting for a serve. Something deeper than that. Something that felt almost sacred. Eala's hand flew to her mouth. Her shoulders began to shake. The tears came before she could stop them. Not the tears you cry when you win, not the tears you cry when you lose, but something rarer than either of those. The tears of someone who has just been fully, unexpectedly seen. The cameras zoomed in. The commentators stopped talking. 15,000 people held their breath together. "You made this for me?" Eala finally managed. Her voice cracked on every syllable. Amelie nodded, her own eyes brimming. "My papa said you came from far away," she said. "He said you left your family when you were little, just like he left his family to work here. He said you were brave. I wanted to be brave too." Eala reached out and pulled the girl into a hug. And the stadium, 15,000 people who had come to watch tennis, began to applaud. Softly at first, then louder, then in a wave that shook the grandstands. "You are brave," Eala whispered into the girl's ear. "You are so brave. And I'm going to keep this drawing forever. I'm going to take it with me to every match. Every time I feel like giving up, I'm going to look at these hearts and remember why I fight." Amelie wiped her tears. "Promise?" "Promise." The umpire cleared her throat. The match had to continue. The 7-year-old picked up her towel basket and returned to her position. Alex Eala tucked the crayon drawing into her tennis bag, zipped it carefully, and walked back to the baseline. She won the next 2 games without dropping a point. She took the set 7-5. She advanced to the 3rd round of Roland Garros for the first time in her career. But the moment that would be replayed 40 million times was not the match point. It was not the embrace at the net. It was the crumpled paper, the floating crayon hearts, and the ball girl who, without knowing she was doing it, taught a professional athlete what courage actually costs. What nobody realized, standing inside that stadium, was that the real story was only just beginning. The footage spread with a speed that even veteran viral content producers found difficult to explain. Within 20 minutes of the changeover ending, the clip had already crossed 10 million views across TikTok, Instagram, X, and YouTube simultaneously. The comment sections did not fill with arguments, with controversy, with the usual noise of the internet. They filled with something much rarer: grief. Gratitude. People writing things they didn't expect to write to strangers. "I'm not crying. You're crying. We're all crying." A 7-year-old ball girl just brought a Grand Slam champion to tears with a crayon drawing. This is exactly why sport matters. Alex Eala didn't just win a match today. She won a heart. And that heart is named Amelie. Philippine media ran headlines that stretched across front pages and trended for 2 straight days. Ball girl's drawing moves Alex Eala to tears. The crayon hearts that conquered Roland Garros. French media, usually restrained and precise in their sports coverage, abandoned restraint entirely. Le Parisien wrote that in an era of manufactured emotion and performative spectacle, a 7-year-old ball girl and a 21-year-old tennis player had reminded the world what sport is actually for: connection. Real, unscripted, unhidden connection. And then Amelie's father spoke. And the world broke all over again. Pierre Fontaine had been maintaining the clay courts of Roland Garros for 11 years when he gave the interview that would be shared millions of times before the week was out. His voice was steady at first, then not. "She would not let anyone touch it," he said, speaking of the drawing. "She slept with it under her pillow every night. She took it to school. She told her teacher she was going to give it to Alex." He paused, wiped his eyes. "I told her it might not be possible. I told her Alex would be surrounded by security, that she would be focused, that ball girls don't approach players that way. But Amelie looked at me, and I will never forget this. She looked at me and said, 'Papa, Alex fights for her people. I have to fight for her too.'" The hashtags multiplied. Fellow athletes weighed in. Coco Gauff posted a single line: "This is everything. This is why we play. Not for trophies. For moments like this." Naomi Osaka wrote, "That little girl just showed the world what love looks like." And Alex showed her that love doesn't care about rankings. Even Elena Rybakina, the world number 2 who would face Eala in the very next round, was asked about the moment in her own press conference. She didn't deflect. "I think it's beautiful," Rybakina said quietly. "We get so caught up in the competition that we forget why we play. We play for the fans. We play for the people who believe in us." Alex reminded us of that today. Not with words, with tears. Roland Garros itself, an organization dealing with ticketing chaos and security headaches and the relentless pressure of hosting one of sport's 4 sacred events, paused long enough to issue a statement. This is the spirit of Roland Garros. This is why we love tennis. And through all of it, Eala sat in the locker room, the crayon drawing still held carefully in both hands. Her mother, Risa, sat beside her. "Mama," Eala said quietly, "I didn't do it for attention. I cried because I remembered why I started. I was her age when I first picked up a racket. I was her age when I dreamed of playing on courts like this." Her mother put an arm around her shoulders. "I know, Anik. And that's why they love you. Because you never forgot." But here is what the internet did not see. What the cameras did not capture. What happened the next morning, before the crowd arrived, before the flags were raised, before anyone was watching. Eala arrived at Roland Garros early. The practice courts were quiet. The stands were empty. The only sounds were the thud of balls and the low instructions of her coaches. She drilled for 2 hours. Her focus was absolute. The drawing sat in her tennis bag, zipped tight, carried like a talisman. And then, during a water break, she turned to her coach Joan Bosch and asked a question that no one expected. "Can we find her?" "Amelie. I want to thank her. Properly." Bosch made some calls. Within an hour, Amélie Fontaine and her father Pierre were escorted to a private suite overlooking Court Philippe Chatrier. When the little girl walked through the door, Eala was already there, waiting. She knelt down to Amélie's eye level, exactly the way she had on the court, and took the girl's small hands in both of hers. "Thank you," she said. "Not for the drawing. For reminding me why I fight. For reminding me that every point I play, there is someone watching who needs to believe." Amélie's eyes were wide. "Are you going to win today?" she asked. Eala smiled, the kind of smile that costs something. "I'm going to fight," she said. "That's all I can promise. That's all I've ever promised." She reached into her bag and pulled out a fresh wristband, white, with the Philippine flag embroidered on the side. She tied it carefully around Amélie's tiny wrist. "This is for you. Wear it when you watch me play. I'll be looking for it." Amélie looked down at the wristband on her wrist. Then back up. "Promise?" "Promise." The photograph taken in that room became the second defining image of the 2026 French Open. Not a trophy. Not a scoreboard. A 21-year-old kneeling on the floor of a private suite, tying a wristband around a 7-year-old's wrist, both of them trying not to cry. The caption one journalist chose for it was simple and could not have been improved. "She didn't have to do this. She has a match to play, a career to build." But she stopped. She remembered. That's the mark of a champion. And then came the match. Elena Rybakina across the net. World number 5. Australian Open champion. A player who served like a thunderclap and moved like she had been designed specifically to dismantle players smaller than herself. The analysts had spent the morning being politely honest. They expected a beautiful story to run headfirst into a tennis reality check. They wrote about Eala's heart, her fight, her significance to Philippine sport, and then they predicted a straight sets loss. They did not account for the wristband. They did not account for the drawing. They did not account for the little girl in the front row of Court Philippe Chatrier, wearing her own flag and waving it with the focused intensity of someone who understood exactly what was at stake. The first set was brutal. Rybakina broke Eala's serve in the third game, took a 3-1 lead and began playing the way world number 5s play when they smell blood: clean, powerful, economical. Her serve was a wall. Her ground strokes landed on lines. Everything the analysts had predicted seemed to be unfolding exactly as written. And Eala was running, retrieving, grinding. But she was not breaking. She thought of the drawing. She thought of the words at the bottom of that crayon-covered notebook page. "You fight. You never give up. I want to be brave like you." She broke back in the 6th game. The stadium, already half risen from its seats, fully erupted. She held serve to love. The flags accelerated their rhythm. She took the first set 7-5, and for a moment the entire trajectory of the afternoon shifted. The second set was even tighter, a war of attrition that dragged both players to deuce after deuce, game after game, neither willing to crack. The Laban Alex chants grew not just louder but more desperate, carrying the particular texture of a crowd that has started to believe something impossible might actually be happening. At 4-4, Rybakina serving, Eala earned a break point. She looked at the stands. She found Amelie. She saw the flag, the wristband, the small face looking back at her with the purest kind of certainty. She converted. She would serve for the match. The stadium shook. People who had been sitting stood. People who had been standing didn't know what to do with their hands. Eala stepped to the baseline. She bounced the ball once, twice, 3 times. She served. 15-love. She served again. 30-love. The crowd was screaming. Another serve. Rybakina return floated long. 40-love. 3 match points. Eala tossed the ball. She swung. The serve landed close. Rybakina's return came back weak, drifting to the middle of the court. Eala stepped into it and crushed a forehand into the open space. The ball landed in. The crowd exploded before the umpire spoke. Alex Eala. She fell to her knees. Racket raised. Tears coming. Not the tears of someone who had expected this. The tears of someone who had earned it 1 point at a time, 1 promise at a time, 1 crayon heart at a time. In the front row, Amélie Fontaine was on her feet, her flag in one hand, the other hand pressed flat against her chest, tears running down her face. "She did it, Papa," she whispered to Pierre standing beside her. "She did it for us." After the post-match interview, after the cameras had moved on and the court had begun to empty, Eala walked to the stands. She found Amélie's section. She reached up over the barrier and took the girl's hand. "I kept my promise," she said. "I know," Amélie told her. "I saw you. I saw you fighting. I saw you never giving up. I want to be just like you." Eala squeezed her hand. "You already are," she said. "You're braver than you know. You proved it 3 days ago when you folded that piece of paper and decided to fight for someone you'd never even met." Here is the thing about moments like this one. The tennis world continued. There were more matches, more rounds, more rankings points distributed by a system that measures greatness in numbers. Eala herself would go on, would fight further, would carry that drawing with her into whatever came next. The tournament would eventually produce a champion. Trophies would be lifted. Names would be engraved. But ask anyone who was inside court Suzanne Lenglen on May 26, 2026 what they remember from that French Open. Not the final. Not the trophy ceremony. Not the winner's speech. They remember a small girl with pigtails walking across the clay with something in her hand. They remember the silence that fell over 15,000 people when a champion began to cry over a crayon drawing. They remember the floating hearts, red, yellow, blue, pink, drawn with the careful, deliberate love of a child who understood, somehow, that what she was doing mattered. Alex Eala did not win the French Open that year. She did not break into the top 10. By every metric the sport uses to measure itself, she was still ascending, still becoming, still on the long road toward whatever she was going to be. But in a private suite overlooking court Philippe Chatrier, kneeling on the floor with a wristband in her hands, she did something no ranking system was ever built to capture. She made a child believe that being scared and being brave are not opposites. That you can be terrified and still walk out onto the court. That you can tremble and still fight. That love, the real kind, the crayon drawing, sleep with under your pillow, I have to fight for her to kind, is not a distraction from greatness. It is the reason for it. When Amélie Fontaine grows up, she may become a tennis player. She may become a ball girl again, or a coach, or something no one has yet imagined. She will face moments that terrify her, everyone does. And when those moments come, she will not reach for a trophy or a ranking or a statistic. She will remember a court in Paris, red clay, white lines. She will remember a hand reaching up over a barrier, finding hers. She will remember a promise made and kept. She will remember what it felt like to be seen by someone at the exact moment you needed it most. And she will fight.